Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, I want to share a chilling story that has haunted me for years. It's a tale of courage, curiosity, and the terrifying consequences of challenging ancient legends. Grab a seat, turn off the lights, and prepare yourself for a journey into the heart of fear. It was a quiet evening when my friends and I decided to investigate the local legend of the Cursed Village. The story had circulated among us for months, whispered during late-night gatherings and over campfires. The legend spoke of an ancient curse placed upon a forgotten village by a vengeful spirit. According to the tale, anyone who dared to uncover the village's secrets would face a series of nightmarish trials. Driven by curiosity and a touch of skepticism, while Lisa, Mark, Jenna, and I planned our expedition to the village, we set out in the dead of night, our car's headlights piercing through the dense forest that surrounded the village. The air grew colder as we approached, and an eerie silence settled over us. As we arrived at the edge of the village, the first thing we noticed was the oppressive stillness. The village seemed frozen in time, with abandoned houses and overgrown streets. We parked the car and stepped out, our footsteps echoing in the vacant spaces. Our first destination was the old church at the village center, which was rumored to be the source of the curse. Its crumbling walls and broken stained glass windows gave it an aura of decay and desolation. Inside, the church was a labyrinth of shadows, with dust-covered pews and a cracked altar. Strange symbols were etched into the stone walls, and as we explored, the temperature seemed to drop even further. Mark, the most skeptical among us, suggested we perform a small ritual to see if we could provoke any supernatural activity. He brought out an old book he'd found online, claiming it held ancient rites. We followed the instructions, lighting candles and chanting phrases that seemed to vibrate through the air. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted, the candles flickered violently, and a cold draft swept through the church. Lisa, who had always been sensitive to the paranormal, clutched my arm, her face pale. Jenna, who had been taking photos, captured something on her camera that made her gasp. A shadowy figure standing in the corner of the church. Determined to press on, we decided to investigate the village's old cemetery, which was said to be the resting place of those who had angered the spirit. As we walked through the cemetery, our flashlight beams illuminated crumbling gravestones and eerie mausoleums. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decay. Jenna's camera began acting erratically, flashing on and off. We stopped at a particularly weathered gravestone that was marked with strange symbols, similar to those we had seen in the church. As we gathered around, a sudden wave of dread washed over us. I felt as though invisible eyes were watching us, and the sound of rustling leaves seemed to grow louder. It wasn't long before we experienced the first of many terrifying occurrences. A low, mournful wail echoed through the cemetery, sending shivers down our spines. The temperature plummeted, and our breaths became visible in the freezing air. Mark, trying to rationalize what was happening, suggested we leave, but it was too late. The ground beneath us began to tremble, and the mausoleums seemed to shift and distort. We heard whispers in an ancient language, and ghostly apparitions materialized around us. We were surrounded by figures in tattered clothing, their faces twisted in agony. Panic set in as we realized that the curse was not just a legend, it was a living nightmare. We fled from the cemetery, our hearts pounding. The village seemed to close in on us, with streets that led nowhere and buildings that appeared to change their positions. The forest we had driven through was now a maze of twisted trees and shadowy figures. Every turn seemed to lead us deeper into the village's dark embrace. As the night wore on, the supernatural events grew more intense. Doors slammed shut on their own, strange symbols appeared on the walls, and we heard footsteps following us. Though no one was there, exhausted and terrified, we sought refuge in one of the abandoned houses, hoping to find a safe place to regroup. Inside, we discovered an old journal hidden in a drawer. It belonged to someone who had lived in the village long ago and detailed their own experiences with the curse. The entries spoke of the same supernatural phenomena we had witnessed and hinted at a way to break the curse. However, the final pages were smudged and unreadable. With a sense of urgency, we decided to follow the instructions we could decipher from the journal. It led us to the village's edge, where an old well stood, covered in ivy and grime. According to the journal, the curse could only be broken by performing a specific ritual at the well. As we prepared for the ritual, a final wave of terror hit us. The village seemed to come alive with malevolent energy, and the spirits we had seen earlier appeared once more, their faces twisted in anger. We completed the ritual as quickly as we could, chanting the incantations from the journal and throwing a symbolic item into the well. Just as we finished, the oppressive atmosphere began to lift, the apparitions faded, and the village seemed to return to its dormant state. Exhausted and traumatized, we made our way back to the car. The journey out of the village was as harrowing as the journey in, but we eventually emerged from the forest, our minds reeling from the night's events. We thought the nightmare was over, but the aftermath of the night was far from the end. Even after returning to our normal lives, the shadow of the village loomed large. Strange occurrences began happening to each of us. Lisa started having recurring nightmares of the spirits from the village. Mark's home was plagued by unexplained noises. Jenna's camera mysteriously captured ghostly figures, and I began seeing fleeting shadows out of the corner of my eye. As weeks passed, the sense of dread never fully lifted. We found ourselves drawn back to the village, unable to fully escape the grip of the curse. Though we had performed the ritual and believed the curse might have been broken, it seemed the village's malevolent energy had seeped into our lives. The village remained abandoned, a silent sentinel in the forest. We revisited it one final time, trying to make peace with what we had encountered. There, at the well, we left tokens of gratitude, hoping to appease whatever spirit still lingered. Yet, every visit brought new horrors. Each time we approached the village, the supernatural occurrences grew more intense. It was as though the village itself was a living entity, feeding off our fear and curiosity. The curse may have been temporarily subdued, but it never truly vanished. The village, with its dark secrets and ancient malevolence, had left an indelible mark on us. We learned that some legends hold more truth than we are willing to accept, and some places are better left undisturbed. As I share this story with you, I hope it serves as a reminder of the thin veil between our world and the unknown. The village is a cautionary tale of the dangers of probing too deeply into the mysteries of the past. Sometimes, the best course of action is to leave certain secrets buried. Thank you for joining me on this harrowing journey. Until next time, stay safe and always be cautious of the legends that lurk in the dark corners of our world.